Well, everyone, the Samsung Galaxy S21 has been out for about 3 months now, and this is actually pretty insane. These months have just been flying by like crazy. So let's go and see how this phone holds up, 3 months later. Now, this is not a full review. I've already done one. Not much, nothing crazy has, changed like a crazy amount, but it's still good to see, specifically in my opinion, one of the things I always look at with these phones is the price reduction, any problems that have come out, and the public opinion of this, these devices, specifically with the S21. Now, if you want to pick up a Samsung Galaxy S21, that's going to be awesome because a lot of these phones have gone down in value. So if you want to pick it up, links will be down in the description. I'll find the cheapest one on Amazon. You can get it from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, with the S21 starting off with the price tag, when this phone first came out, one of the biggest, advantageous things for this device was the fact that it was actually cheaper than its predecessor. So that was a massive thing. You're getting a better phone in some areas, but you're getting it in a cheaper price tag. And I love seeing manufacturers do that. Apple did that with their iPhone 11, and, Samsung did it this year. Now, unfortunately, it came at a cost of a lot of closing out certain ports and plastic bags, which I'm not a huge fan of, but eventually, we did get it down to less than $600 right now, which is pretty crazy. So if you waited a couple of months, these Samsung phones depreciate like crazy. It's so insane how this happens. So if you want to pick up a Galaxy S21, you're going to be spending at least like a couple $100 off than that's, reasonable price. On Amazon, they're less than $600. So they've already gone down in value, a little bit, not an insane amount, but a good amount for sure. And that is a humongous advantage for waiting a couple of months. And in my opinion, that is probably the biggest thing that's changed is the price tag. So if you want to buy this phone again, it's going to be cheaper than what it was a couple months ago by an insane, margin. The display on the front, when it first came out, I was kind of hesitant. Now it's still, it's definitely not one of the best displays this year. I think the Galaxy S20 still has the better display, and it's very sad because Samsung's notorious of having the best displays. And, obviously the S21 Ultra probably has the best one out of all these, but I'd probably say the Galaxy S21's panel is good enough, 1080p, nothing super crazy, but I don't know. I'm a bigger fan of the S20 still. This panel still hasn't grown on me. And for some reason, whenever I make videos on this specific panel, it just doesn't look that great. And I don't know why that happens. I always have to switch for like a pixel or something, but that is one thing that I've seen with this specific phone. USB Type-C on the bottom, no micro SD card slot. The plastic back is something that I'm actually pretty used to. The panel I'm not used to, which is weird, but the back, I'm actually kind of used to it. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. And I think a plastic back is, and I think at the time when this thing first came out, I was very saddened because, the plastic back, had a glass back on the previous version, but I kind of see where they're coming from, and they made it a cheaper phone, so I guess it's okay. But I don't know, it still would have been nice had it had a glass back. I feel my S21 Plus and that phone feels so good on the back. Even my S20 feels so much better on the back than this one, even though this is frosted. So take it as you will, but that is one of the bigger areas that has kind of changed. Now, that's pretty much everything on the outside. Luckily, I haven't seen any crazy defects. I think there was something when it first came out, but since then, it's been pretty, easy going. So that's another pretty big advantage for this phone. Now, I will talk about the cameras. Nothing has changed here, really. I'm not gonna do a full review on this camera. I've already done one, but I'll probably say the camera is still a very good camera, and it's probably the best camera of this year, the S21 Ultra, but this camera is still very good for the most part. Triple camera setup, 12 megapixel wide, 64 megapixel telephoto, and then another 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. You can do 8K videos on it. I'm sure you already know how this camera holds up, and it's a very good camera. I've had very little issues with this, and I think it is better than my iPhone 12 Pro's camera, and I think it's pretty much up there with the S20. I think the S20 and the S21 are very similar. There's not that many differences in the camera standpoint. So I don't know what Samsung was saying. This was like the biggest jump from camera to camera, but this is a very good camera still. I just don't know if it's worth a jump from something like an S20. Dude, even from my S10, like that camera was so good. The biggest difference is, 8K capability here. 4K 60 on the front. Those are some pretty big things, but I think the Galaxy S21's camera is still very good. Would I say it's the best camera this year? Yeah, maybe, we haven't seen what Apple has done yet, but I think this camera is very good for the most part. So in terms of that, camera, thumbs up. Now, software-wise, nothing has really changed here either. We've gotten a couple security updates on this device. We've gotten One UI 3.1, which is cool, and I think this is still a very solid phone for the software standpoint. Samsung has been increasing their longevity of these devices, and I think that is a humongous advantage that you have on something like a Galaxy S21. you're getting a very long supported device, and I think that is a humongous advantage, and it's almost like a no-brainer. Getting a phone like this and having that type of capability is awesome, and even though it's not my cup of tea with this specific software, I think it gets the job done, and I would probably say it's better off than not in my opinion. I will also say the battery life has been awesome. I have had very little issues with this type of battery life, and as I mentioned before, and I'll just continue to say it, having this size of battery on this type of device is crazy. I mean, a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, that is a massive size battery, especially for a phone with a lower size, with a lower resolution panel than the year before. That's a big size battery for sure, and you have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. This is for sure one of my favorite things about this phone, without a doubt, and I'll definitely give it a thumbs up. I think this is a very awesome thing about this phone. Now, ending it off with the performance, as I've always stated, Samsung has killed it with the performance standpoint. I mean, you're getting the brand new Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset, you're getting an Adreno 660 GPU, and there's two different models, but both those models have 8 gigs of RAM, and like I mentioned just 3 months ago, nothing has changed with the performance. Nothing is going to change. You're still going to be getting a very solid performing phone from this type of device, and that is one of this phone's biggest advantages. As I've always stated, you're getting very good performance from a phone like this, and without a doubt, like I mentioned, this is one of its biggest assets for sure. Now, light tasks, as I mentioned, is going to be fine. Heavier intensive things is going to be fine, and I'm sure you may have seen some of the comparisons I've done with this phone. Dude, this phone was doing a really good job against all the other phones for the most part. I will say one of the things that has still not really been fixed, no matter how many times I've updated my Samsung, is the choppiness sometimes in the UI. So, app opening speeds and everything is perfectly fine, like I like that. But for some reason, I'll never understand this. Compared to, a Samsung Galaxy S21 to even like an iPhone 10, you're getting a smoother phone from something like an iPhone 10, even though the S21 has a 120Hz refresh rate and, newer chips and it's a newer, better phone. You're getting a smoother performance from something like an iPhone 10, and I'm not a huge fan of that. That really makes Samsung, and the Galaxy series look really bad. I don't know how you're going to fix this. Pixel is a much better example of how smooth an Android phone can be, but I'll never get this. A couple months in, still on my S21, I still experience those issues, and like I mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of it. There's nothing we can do about it, but that is one thing that I kind of saw at that time that I low-key kind of wish gets a little bit of an improvement here and there. So in terms of performance, that essentially covers it up there. And to kind of sum up the video and to answer the question, I mean, should you buy a Galaxy S21 3 months later? Obviously, yes, this is still a completely worth, this phone is worth it by a long shot. It's a very good phone. The only issue, like I mentioned, is probably the choppiness in the performance and quite possibly the software. If you're not a huge fan of the software, there's a lot of things that go into it. So, you can put a custom launcher on it, you can do this thing here and this thing there, but I think, the Pixel lineup is a perfect example, again, as I mentioned, of how smooth an Android phone can be and how good the software on an Android phone can be. I think Samsung is really good. They just do such a good job with their hardware. This year was kind of like a trial error. It's kind of like a Galaxy S6. They removed the glass back and they put a lower resolution panel on the front and they just sealed it in, so there's no way you can put a micro SD card slot in here. I'm not a fan of that. And, some of those things have grown on me, like the plastic back, but I'm still not a huge fan of that low resolution panel. And I'm not a fan that they took away, the micro SD card slot. So take it as you will, but that's kind of a summed up, quick review or re-review of the Galaxy S21 a couple months later. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much for you guys to hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.